Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Hope you're having a good one. What's good, what's good, what's good? So I'm not having a live tonight, and the reason why I'm going out to dinner with the guys. But it doesn't mean I don't do my research. So what do we have going on today? There's a giant ATM, Bitcoin ATM operator in the United States, Byte Federal. They just got hacked. It's big. So that could be a big thing. I'm still waiting for more news to come out, but they got hacked, and it was a significant data breach. That's no bueno. That's no bueno. So we're gonna try to dig in and find out about that. But I wanted you guys to be aware of what's going on. So if you use Bitcoin ATMs, you might want to look to see if it's run by Byte Federal. What else is going on? Articles. Magic Eden. Yeah, major drop. Major drop. It plummeted about 70%. 70%. So it ought to tell you that some places are doing better than others. That coins are not made for everybody and everything. Just saying. I mean, it's not like Avalanche. Avalanche had sold some coins and they got $250 million, my bad, $250 million so they can do network upgrades. That's a significant thing. See the difference. But getting on to that whole Avalanche story, that's actually a very big deal. Upgrading the network of one of the coins or one of the projects that I believe is a part of the connective tissue, Web3 connective tissue. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal, and we should be paying attention to it. MEXC strengthens its backing for Sui. Apparently, they've gotten involved with SuiLend or Send, SEND, which is not bad, enhancing decentralized lending and borrowing capabilities. Okay. I'm not worried about their service as much as I'm interested in the effect it'll have on Sui, because this is definitely one of the reasons why Sui was taking off today. Absolutely. That's a very big deal. So I'm waiting to see what kind of effect, long-term effect that's going to have. So I'm very interested. VanEck-backed Superform launches a new DeFi product offering intelligent USDC yield strategies. Now, I don't know what that means. I'm wondering if they're, employing some kind of AI strategy or something like that, so it can kind of weigh the different places in different ways that, you can get yield. That would be very interesting. I could care less if it's AI or somebody that's figuring it all out. I could care less. The fact that they're doing it is what I care about. Now, here's something interesting. Imagine that going beyond USDC. Imagine that going beyond USDC. Just saying. So USDC has clearly been trying to make inroads, all over the place, so they can try to figure out how can we build up to Tether. Apparently, you've got a long way to go. Apparently, look up how much money. Go research how much money Tether makes in a quarter. Not even a year. In a quarter. That's a lot. That's freaking a lot. Right? I'm just looking at it and I'm just going, good business moves on the part of Circle for USDC, not without a doubt. But I think Circle has crazy competition. Forget about Tether up there. Worry about, Athena's stablecoin. Worry about DAI. Worry about RLUSD, which I think is going to come out and just blow everybody out the water, except for Tether. But I think it might come out and just start going after Tether, because Ripple's making moves as well. Ripple's making big moves. The difference between Ripple making moves for RLUSD and Tether is that Tether already has the pairs. It's basically a global standard. So you're going to have to get there with your global standard. And then you're going to have to win people over with the idea that you're basically, a centralized stablecoin. Highly highly centralized. So we're going to have to weigh how that works. I mean, Tether's centralized too, right? In a weird kind of way. But I think the government influence is going to be greater on RLUSD versus Tether, is what I'm thinking. We'll see how it plays out over the future, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. We'll see. It's always about the research, right? It's always about how much information do you have on hand about a given topic, so that you can delve into that topic and make the right decisions. And that information can change on a daily basis. So just putting that out there for you. BlackRock recommends 2% of Bitcoin, meaning your Bitcoin holdings should represent 2% of your overall portfolio. I thought the number was higher a while ago, but 2% to me sounds a little bit low. And I guess they're talking to specific kinds of investors. So what would be, stocks, bonds, options, treasuries, ETFs, real estate, businesses. Like, I'd like to know the overall mixture, the overall percentage mixture that they're talking about. And then I'd like to understand the mixture for, high net worth individuals, those are the wealthy. And then the rich people, the two levels of rich, the rich that are working their way up to wealthy, and the rich that are working their way down to poor. And then regular people like us, the poor. I'd like to understand that mixture. Like, what mixtures do they have at the various levels, and then see what that is. Because I think real people want to know real things, right? So 2% of your portfolio. So let's pretend that you can save $100 a month. So you're saying I should take $2 and put that into Bitcoin. Does that really work out for you? And I should put the rest in what? The bank to earn what? See what I'm saying? So that the recommendation has to be taken with kind of a grain of salt, where, where are you in your, I'm not going to say maturity, because that's different. That's based on time. I'd say based on income or based on value of your portfolio. That's where that 2% comes in. For me, I'd probably think if the lower number you have in your portfolio, to me, the higher the amount of money you should be putting into Bitcoin or crypto in general. I know people that put money into crypto month and a half ago, and they're up, like seriously up. Now, they could always go down, right? Because they're just getting in. That's why you dollar cost average by putting in money on a regular basis. But by putting in money on a regular basis, you're kind of saying, I'm probably going to make this amount of money. Bumps and, peaks and valleys, but I'm probably going to walk away with X amount of money over a period of time. And that's what you can think about. And then I can start paying attention to my investments, right? Do my own research, know my entries and exits, and invest deliberately. The GMB3, just saying. So then you have Bitwise predicting that Coinbase will surpass Charles Schwab to be the number one brokerage globally in 2025. If Coinbase hits $700, they will have outpaced or outgrown Charles Schwab. Now, go back this week, last week, over this week, last week, I've been talking to you about how I think Brian Armstrong needs to shut up. Right? He's been talking a lot of stuff that I think brings bad press. I'm hoping that this will kind of wash over all that bad stuff that he's been yapping about, right? Because he was a little off the rails there. He was a tad off the rails, and I think his board of directors should have reined him in a bit. Because he was out there just repeating stuff and doubling down on stuff, and I don't think he understands the impact of what he's saying. And in a way, the sheer ignorance of what he's saying. So because you don't agree with somebody, you're going to say that they shouldn't be able to put food on the table for their family. That's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. He should know better. So I'm hoping that they did rein him in. I'm hoping that this turns out to be really good news for the company and it takes off. That's great. Not a problem. I also hope that they wake up and stop being lethargic about taking care of their customers and having these hidden rules, like shutting people down because they're using a VPN, just otherwise just messing up people, making them wait for transactions. Why are you waiting for a transaction in this day and age? Like, seriously? You're the biggest in the United States and this is what you're doing? Just because you're number one now doesn't mean you're going to remain number one. Just saying. There's always another one that's coming up that can outdo you. And before anybody says anything, I want you to take a look at, I don't know, Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA. Just pay attention to those things and see how that works out. Number one eventually falls. It's historic. Bitwise, I told you about Bitwise. Avalanche raised. I told you about that. Look at that. So much news because I've got like 13 points I've got to make. So I apologize if I'm repeating myself. Let me just stay on track. Binance achieved dominance. Achieved dominance. They didn't achieve dominance. They achieved greater dominance. That's my fault. I should have written that better. They achieved greater dominance in 2024 with $21.6 billion in deposits and a record 250 million users. Binance is by far the biggest out there. Coinbase might be the biggest in the United States, but they're the biggest out there. They have greater than 2/3 of, the United States, the equivalent United States population as users, as active users, no less. Yeah, we should be paying attention to that. We really should. That's why you're seeing moves by like Bybit, Crypto.com. You're seeing all these moves by all these other platforms, all these other exchanges. Because there's more than enough room out there for these exchanges. And what I'm finding to be funny is I'm looking at banks, and there used to be a ton of banks out there. Now there aren't. In the United States, now there aren't. You have the top 4 banks, and everybody else is just, a regional? But the top 4 national banks, there's the top 4 national banks. When there used to be a heck of a lot more. Mergers and acquisitions brought it down to 4. Makes you stop and think about, everything that's going on, right? Who is it? Let me get the name of this government agency correct. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, one of the agencies that the new regime wants to get rid of. I'm happy they were able to do this. They closed a legal loophole, draining $5 billion annually from customer accounts. They have to either limit overdraft fees to $5, align them to actual costs and losses, meaning on the bank. The bank covers the bill. They either have to align that fee to that number or treat overdraft loans like other credit products, which they don't. So that's a big deal with banks. Now, imagine that the new regime wants to deregulate banks. And I'm looking at this number. $5 billion a year is lost by consumers because of overdraft fees. And these overdraft fees could be, they're paying a bill today, but I'm also getting paid today. They process all of the subtractions first and then do the additions. So you could actually hit that overdraft fee because of this. Have to pay the fee. And then when your money comes in, they extract the fee. $10 here, $20 there, depending on what the fee is. And it's like, whoa, $5 billion. $5 billion. Banks make money left and right, nickel and diming everybody. Nickel and diming. And they wonder why so many people don't have their money sent to banks. Or if they're sent to banks, it's smaller and smaller and smaller amounts rather. A lot of people have their money going to max out their 401ks, going directly into brokerage firms so that they can actually maneuver their money. I mean, who is it? WellSafe? What's the name of that company? There's a new company or a couple of new companies out there that you can have your money sent to them and they automatically invest your money. That's a new market where you're going to see more and more people. Oh man, why didn't I make this connection before? It's just like cutting the cord. Remember that term? Everybody was cutting the cord to cable, and they still are. People are still doing that because they're realizing, oh, I only watch these three channels. Let me just go get rid of cable and just get internet access, and I'll just pay for these channels. And the cable companies came up with what? Well, if you don't take the channels, you're going to pay a lot more for just internet access. Yeah, they do that now. If you just want internet access, you don't want phone, you don't want cable, you just want internet access. They charge you, a lot of cable companies are charging you more for that one product than the bundled product. That's how they're subsidizing phone services and their freaking cable channels. Yeah, because so many people would just cut the cord. So many people would just be like, I can cut the cord. Most people get those additional services and don't watch. Like in my office, I used to have a cable box. You know what I have in my office now? A smart TV. That's what I have in my office. I don't watch cable. It's what's on there that I can't watch someplace else at a cheaper price. So when you look at banks, they're doing the same thing. They're going in the same direction. They're making people want to cut the cord. I can't believe I didn't make that correlation before, but that's the correlation. They're doing things. Overdraft fees, $5 billion a year in overdraft fees. Split that amongst the banks that are out there. There's still a lot of banks out there. Like I said, regionals, and then you got the four big boys, or banks, sorry. That's what you've got. Split that number up. What, you say, even if you said $500 billion to the four tops, right? That's $2 billion right there, and the other $3 billion dispersed amongst all the other banks. $500 million in overdraft fees? Banks literally look at that as not a service. They look at that as a revenue stream. They want you to. Why do you think they actually do the debits first before they do the credits? I've literally had that happen. I've had to call the bank and be like, nah, that's not happening. I'm not paying that. Give me back my money. Yep. And they credit it back. So I sit there and they just kind of go, oof. So imagine people that aren't fighting back and saying, no, I'm not paying that. Because it was the same day. I keep very little money in my checking, in my bank accounts, very little. So a couple of times I was expecting to put money in. Same day, money comes in, had these charges, overdraft fees for the charges, and then all of a sudden I had the money sitting there to take care of everything. That means that the money was already there. They just didn't process it first. And that's why I'm kind of like, yeah, that's not cute. That's not cute at all. So yeah, I think about these things in a major fashion. I think about these things. So yeah, the CFPB, closing that down again. This is an agency. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is an agency that the new regime wants to shut down, and they're trying to save us $5 billion. So imagine what other regulations they want to roll back for banks. I can just imagine a bank, that's having data problems. Like Citi. Go read up on that. Citi has major data problems, data management problems. Been taken to court by the government. Imagine they roll back those regulations. All of a sudden, they're not in trouble anymore. All of a sudden, they can go back to doing whatever it is they want to do. Huh? Is that what we're doing for the consumer? Does that sound like that's a consumer-centric answer? Now, don't get me wrong. Do I think that banking regulation needs to be cleaned up? Yes. Cleaned up is not the same as rolled back. It's not the same. It is not the same. And I think that I think the government can be, difficult to work with. We'll say it like that. It can be difficult to work with. And I'm just kind of like, that's interesting. That's very interesting. So yeah, I pay attention to all these different things because when these things come in, I'm kind of like, how does that play out going forward, right? Here are banks doing this. Here's crypto doing this. Now, what do banks have that crypto doesn't have? Well, they have the FDIC. They have insurance, but now the insurance has been cut, right? It used to be $250,000 per account. Now it's $250,000 per bank. So the total of all your accounts, they're only going to cover up to $250,000 as opposed to it used to be $250,000 per account. Well, isn't that funny? So now it's kind of like, do you really have that kind of protection? I mean, if you're not making that much money, you probably do have that protection and you probably like that protection. But if your account is slowly being drained because you've got to pay a monthly fee for the bank to borrow your money to go make money. You ever think about that? I'm telling you, this is why people are really rethinking, what do I really need from a bank? And truth be told, what do I actually get from a bank? Now, one scenario to get around the whole thing would be, I'm going to put all my money into crypto. And then I'm going to get a credit card, tie that to my crypto. Maybe you get a coin-specific credit card. MasterCard does it all over the place, so does Visa. Depending on maybe you get, a credit card tied to a specific exchange, whatever. But you get a crypto credit card, tie the right crypto to the card, and deposit, and flip money, swap money into that coin, right? To go pay for stuff. And as long as you have enough coin to cover the monthly bill, you don't pay any fees. Moving on. Until stores start calling us up to host their website so that they can accept crypto. Just remember, Rebel Reach, we do that. But imagine, like, that is a viable thing right now. For those of us that don't want to deal with banks, that is a seriously viable option. I can hold all my money in crypto and still have the convenience of a credit card. La 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 la. Or in this case, it was technically a credit card, but I get to use it as a debit card because every month I pay on time. As a matter of fact, I don't even have to worry about paying on time because they pull it right from my account. So it's like I'm running around. It's more akin to a debit card. Because if I ain't got it, they're not going to use it unless it's tied to, oh, well, you can pay us at the end of the month, buy now, pay later kind of deal. No. I'm going to make sure that there's money there. So I don't have to pay any fees. Think about that. I wouldn't, if you live with a cash mentality, you make sure that the coins are there to cover whatever it is you want to do. You're good to go. You're good to go. Like I was telling you the other day, have everybody go to the bank and pull out 10% of their money. Right? Imagine everybody doing that. You could take a bank out of business. A 10% drop in a day. Just everybody one day just wake up and go to a bank and say, today's the day that everybody's going to go to the bank and we're going to yank out X amount of money from the bank. You know what I mean? You don't really have to go to the bank. You can actually just do that online and put it in crypto or put it into another investment, right? Banks would freak out because the game is assets under management. How much do we have in assets under management? Imagine losing 10, 20, 30% in assets under management in a day. Imagine a bank having to cover that. They can't cover that. Most banks cannot cover that. So imagine what would happen. Holy moly. At that kind of level, they can cover certain amounts of money, but a higher percentage, Oh, that would be considered a run on a bank. Oh, how painful. How ridiculously painful. So yeah, that's something people are thinking about. What else do we have? I think the last one is Robinhood crypto marks a milestone year, $38 billion. $38 billion because of crypto, the crypto side. Robinhood crypto, $38 billion in assets under management. Wow. I know it's not the trillions like a BlackRock, Fidelity, or Franklin Templeton. I get it. But that's a big deal for a company that size. That's a big deal for all of us, for a company that, introduced stocks to the common person, making it easy for the common person to actually go buy stocks on their own. Introducing the introduction of, crypto at a brokerage level to people. It's kind of a big deal. It's like mad cool. Mad cool. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. Hope you like what I'm doing. If you do, smash the likes and join. Just become a member. The Big Baggers meeting is Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. And it's a private call, video conference call only between Big Baggers. So imagine if you're getting this much from me, imagine how much you're going to get from Big Baggers. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for your time. Hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.